So we are back with another episode of I Don't Think You've Seen This Film. And this week we are talking about American Renegades. It's an action adventure, it's a fun popcorn movie to end the evening with, and let's get into it.
Do you have any idea the shitstorm you've created? Your orders were to get in and deliver the package like we were never there.
We were compromised. We had to adapt.
You thought driving a tank over half of Sarajevo was the answer?
Yes, sir, I did.
Do I look like a moron to you?
Yes, sir. No, sir. No.
Okay, so if you haven't seen this series before, I'm going to tell you the rules on this particular series of videos that I do. If you've seen it before, you can jump to the next chapter. Basically, the rules are simple. 1, I'm not going to do any spoilers. 2, I'm not going to do any movie that's on my box office bomb list. If there's a movie you gotta check out over there, I'll let you know over there. And 3, I'm not doing any major huge movies like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. I'm doing more unknown, lower budget, indie, lesser known type films. I might do a couple of Hollywood AAA summer type movies that just don't really get the recognition they deserve. You know, some slightly larger films, but for the most part, these are movies that typically a person would go, oh, I've never heard of that before. And so that's kind of what this series is for. And so today we're talking about American Renegades. Now, what is this movie about? So the premise of this movie is about a United States Navy SEAL unit that, while working as peacekeepers over in like Eastern Europe, they find out about a buried treasure that they decide to go after. And I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible so that you guys can go in fresh. But one of the things I absolutely love about this movie is there's this really great, like, high adventure quality to this film, almost like Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider, or like one of those action adventure type films where they're looking for like a lost treasure. You totally get that with this movie, and I absolutely love it, especially since it's a pretty good, fun, good, entertaining movie. And you look at that genre with action adventure, there's a lot more bad movies in that genre than there are good. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air when you actually get a decent film in that genre. And the other thing I really liked were the characters. Like, all the SEALs are fun, entertaining, but like one of the characters that completely stands out and steals the show every time he's in the scene is J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons basically plays the screaming police chief in every cop movie, but there's kind of like a cool quality about him. Since he's not police chief, he's the base commander, and he does have kind of like a cavalier attitude towards his SEALs, as it were. Like, he will scream at them just because he's supposed to. He's not actually upset at them at sometimes, but it's kind of like this fun dynamic that J.K. Simmons has with the SEAL unit and whatnot, and so I really enjoyed that. But the other thing I really liked about this movie was the creative use of CGI and the practical effects. So there's some like action sequences throughout this film that, like, watching it's like, what was the budget on this? Because it feels like this is like a Hollywood action movie. And no, this is actually a non-major studio that kind of did this. It's kind of like a, I don't want to call it a B-rate studio, but it wasn't Paramount. It wasn't, you know, Warner Brothers that made this film. This is a kind of smaller studio that made this film, and yet it feels like a Warner Brothers action film or a Paramount action film. And like, the practical effects they did this were really fantastic. Like, some truly impressive practical effects. But also the CGI, like, they did a very creative use of CGI. They used CGI quite effectively. They made sure not to overuse it, and they tried to also use CGI in, like, only dark moments. So, like, there was a couple of scenes at night where CGI was used. It's like, I could tell that was CGI, but it didn't look terrible because it was done at night in the dark, and so that was pretty cool, actually. And so they do a good job with the practical effects and the CGI. It's like a really well done balance that I really appreciated. So if you're looking for a fun popcorn action adventure with some good laughs, some solid action, and just overall a feel-good vibe, you should check out American Renegades. I had a lot of fun with it. There was a couple times I laughed my ass off with it, and overall, it's just a fun time. And so, yeah, I don't think you've seen this film. My name's Christopher Carl with 11 Hour Reviews, and that will be all for today.